We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hi, I'm Lee, and I don't know who I am.
And I'm Nathan, and my eyes are way too far apart.
They sure are. And you're listening to... Oh, you were going to say?
Insert Japanese racist joke here. And you're listening to...
Hi. They're here.
Oh, wow, that's such a cock up. Where we see, you see, light bulb.
It's true.
You'll dissect things.
Welcome to They're Here, okay? You know what you're listening to
You
at
know,
this point. If you're
you
listening
clicked
to
on. If you've been around for a while, you know what we usually say. And you know we fuck it up a lot less, but we really fucked it up that time.
We sure do.
We sure do.
Oh, wait, I want to hear it.
Here we go. I'm waiting.
Light bulb.
Oh. Oh my God, wait, have you ever seen what... okay, Google. What is fuck in Polish? Just wait.
In Polish, that's... We don't translate back and forth.
That's just the sound they make in Poland when they want to say fuck. But, so yeah. We had announced this 2 weeks ago, and this week we're doing Perfect Blue.
We announced it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Terrible with the form. Yes, we're doing Perfect Blue directed by insert Japanese
Yours
name
truly.
here.
No, Satoshi Kon. Who
You're
also
gonna
directed
to...
Paprika.
Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Super, super influential director. Paprika was like kind of famously ripped off borderline by Inception. And this movie, if you watch it after seeing like Black Swan or kind of Mulholland Drive or...
You'll see its influence.
Yeah, or Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, Requiem for a Dream. Yeah. That movie makes me feel sick. But Requiem for a Dream. But I like it. It's horrifying. The point of a horror movie is to horrify you. Or the point of our podcast is to be horrified by things.
Ever. I would rather watch a Serbian film.
That's bullshit.
Than I'd go through the emotional turmoil that is Requiem for a Dream.
I'll just wait until September until we leave and I'll do it by myself. Can't wait.
What are you going to do? Release it in voice notes? How are you going to record?
I have my fucking ways. If we can put a man on the moon, I can record this podcast without you.
Bitch!
Allegedly. So, yeah, I wanted to do this movie because I don't think we've actually done...
We've never done
a feature on this.
Yeah, never.
On the show so far. I mean, we totally could have. I mean, our memory is terrible. But no, I don't think we did. We have so far.
I would love to... This is purely just bouncing off of, like, Perfect Blue, but I would love to do something like Junji Ito's stuff. Like, there's a load of his comics turned into episodes on Netflix at the moment.
Yeah, there's 8 of them, yeah.
Super, super obsessed with that. And it's like another series has already been greenlit for, like, season 2 at the end of the year. Super excited for that.
Did you see his rendition of The Lighthouse in a manga?
No, I'd love to, though.
It's pretty cool. I'll put it on the story.
That'll be good.
But
so Perfect Blue.
Yeah, I wanted to do this week because it's something kind of different.
Was there any particular reason that it jumped into your head when you decided to, or was it just like, oh, it's something different?
No, it just kind of popped into my head. It's one of those that kind of it's always all over my Instagram and stuff. I don't know. I think it's like a really beautiful movie. It's also just something different to what we've been doing lately. Like, I feel like you couldn't pick a more different movie to Texas Chainsaw last week.
Oh, yeah.
Than something like this.
Now, here's the question. Are you a dub or a sub kind of guy?
It depends. Whichever is easiest to find.
Fair.
I honestly don't mind. I actually did watch the dubbed version for this because it was the first one I found.
So did I.
But when I
much
originally
prefer
watched this, I watched it with subtitles.
subtitles.
Well, see, I always have the subtitles on regardless if I have a dub or not, just because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
prefer to have subtitles because I have ADHD.
I cannot. Not that I like it. Oh, I can't read it because it's an effort to have to read. I feel like it's an effort to have to read stuff when my eyes are just consistently darting downwards and back up again.
So I'm kind of used to it. I've done it since I was a kid.
Fair enough.
You
Some
know.
of us aren't weebs. So
Some of us know how to read. Some of us know how to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Well, rude.
Some of us are you.
So 1997.
Uh-huh.
This is. I'm going to be honest with you. There are types of anime that I just fucking adore, and this is the type of anime that I fucking adore.
It's got the frame rate that I love.
Yes, it's fluid. It reminded me of parts of the Kill Bill anime scenes with Oren.
It's got
gorgeous.
It's got flakes of Akira in there.
Yeah,
It's got like
this
at a higher frame rate than like
Yeah.
normal cartoons or normal animation.
It's got a fluidity to it that I really the way people move, like you can tell it's not just like frame by frame by frame.
It feels
it's
like
just
a
movement.
rotoscope almost, like it's drawn over an already like moving image.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's beautiful. It's shot beautiful. I don't want to go on about it, but like the cinematography of it all, because it's drawn that way. So it's a slightly different version of cinematography.
Well, it is because everything is like I know how people say in movies that's like everything's intentional. It's like, well, that's not always true because you can't control how the sky looks in a movie. Well, you can, but people generally don't. But like in animation, everything is absolutely intentional because everything that's there you've put there.
Yeah,
you know, there's nothing that's accidentally just there. There's no like accidental like little Easter eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
But the way this movie is drawn and everything, it kind of gets more and more like hectic and stuff. Like her apartment and everything becomes more and more like cluttered and it's like more and more uncomfortable. But yeah, I don't know, I picked this because I figured something different, something kind of beautiful for a change. Like I feel like we are able to find the beauty in
the macabre
and kind of disgusting things. Like we talked about how beautiful the look of last week's Texas Chainsaw was.
Oh yeah.
Even though even though that's like an objectively disgusting movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I figured you might like this because you liked Suspiria. Old and New. I always kind of describe this movie as if David Lynch made an anime.
Yes.
It's
so
very that.
The story basically is Mimaru, who, like, now to be fair, like, we're gonna just read off of these names. Like, if we're fucking them up, we're fucking them up. You know, we're not part of the Japanese culture. We're not 100% on names and things like that. We're gonna fucking try. So Mimaru Kiragoe is part of a triplet singing group, and she's super fucking famous, and like there are like real simp stans who are just like, oh yes, Vogue, work, but it's triple, it's amazing.
It's all grown men.
Yeah,
there's no little
so
girls
sexualized. It's
very
so
much
sexualized. Like now, they're in like these sort of like, I want to say like maid outfits almost in a way, like ballerina meets maid outfit.
It is. It's like a little girl princess dress. Now, I believe that this was directly referenced in Twin Peaks: The Return with Mandy Candy and Sandy. Hold on, I'll show you. You'll totally get it.
But Mimaru wants to escape this. She feels like she's provided all she can. She's exhausted with it. She's sort of tired out and stuff like that, and she wants to move on. Exactly that. Right? Exactly that.
But that's from The Return from Twin Peaks. And like when I saw that, I was immediately like,
and like she wants to move into acting, which to be fair, a lot of singers do it. I mean, Lady Gaga's doing it, Cher does it, loads and loads of people do it.
But it used to be met with a lot of criticism. Like people used to laugh at Cher when she wanted to become an actress. I think it was either Moonstruck or Silkwood that was her first movie. And like when her name came up on screen in the trailer, people laughed because it was like, she's a singer.
Yeah,
you know, that wasn't really
didn't believe she had actual acting talents.
Exactly. Or oftentimes it would be like an actor becoming a singer, which for some reason is looked at differently. I don't know why people take actors much more seriously than singers for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see her when we first see her. It's Chan's final concert, or it's her final concert with the group.
Yeah.
So we're seeing her at the literal tail end of her one career, as she's going into upsweep of the other. And it's kind of met with a lot of like Rumi, who's her manager,
who's an ex-pop star.
Who's an ex-pop star, which we find out later, which kind of...
Spoiler alert.
It almost comes out of nowhere.
1997, what? That's just under 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes out of nowhere, though.
Yeah.
I really, really like the end.
Just over 30 years, actually, sorry.
The end is kind of giving me... It gives me a lot of Mulholland Drive.
So like the way I view it is that Mimi or Mimaru is under so much stress that she begins to confuse the way she's being taunted as psychological warfare on her behalf, and she's being threatened by these sort of invisible forces in her own head. So like half of it is sort of reality and half of it isn't. Question mark. So like it's sort of like perceptions versus actual reality, and every time Rumi shows up, it comes across as like the entire time Rumi is there, she's there to protect her and safeguard her well-being and all of this, when in fact she is the one that is like steering her into this sort of line of madness.
Now Rumi looked like a goldfish.
This is one thing that I like. There's only certain people. There are 3 people in particular, and I realized they were all the people who are threatening her.
Rumi's eyes are on the side of her head,
goldfish,
like on her temples.
Just gorgeous goldfish.
She looks like a reptile or something.
It's really good, as well as the Me-Mania guy.
He's so creepy.
Yeah.
And then kind of. It's like you kind of almost don't even know what the deal is with him, because it's like, did that happen? Did she just kill him out of whatever? Did she just go crazy and kill everybody in studio? Was it Rumi? You know?
Yeah.
This is very much so one of those movies where it's like there isn't... Like, I couldn't just tell you from start to finish, this is exactly what happened and why. It's very much so open for interpretation.
Yeah.
I also do kind of like how... like slice of life this kind of is. There's a lot of kind of just following her around, but then there's a lot of cutaways to these 3 particular fans who we meet at the start, where they're kind of just like talking about they're like the in-universe audience representation, where we get to see what the fans are actually thinking of her versus what she thinks the fans think of her. But so like during this performance, there's like goings on that at the last show there was like a riot basically, caused by these certain group of punks or whatever, and they show up again and they kind of make a whole big spectacle, but it gets shut down by Mimania, and then it does kind of become a fight, and then Mima kind of like makes a whole like stop, just fucking cut it out, okay? But like there is kind of uproar that she's like ending her career and going into another thing, because people think like, what the fuck is she gonna do? Yeah,
this is like the whole time you have the fans sort of like, because it's a commentary really on toxic culture and toxic fan culture, and especially like that way. True. Like I mean, like you can see it a lot of time in like the Drag Race fans and things like that, where they can become so harsh. It release the Snyder Cut, exactly. Like it can become so toxic where people not only like write these horrible things. I mean, what's her name? Fifi O'Hara like was threatened that like if you go out in public we'll throw acid in your face. Like I mean like holy fucking shit. Like it's the same thing here. Like you have obviously the hecklers who are just like, oh, this music is shit and blah blah blah. But then you also have those who have a super obsession,
people who
like
think they
Mania.
own the artist as well as the art.
Exactly.
So that is a debate that I think we've kind of had before. It's actually come up a lot, like with the J.K. Rowling thing, where people now hate her, but they love the art. And it's like, I've seen people have the discussion of like, oh, well, like, the art is ours. Like, it's for us. And it's like, on one hand, that's kind of a hard debate as an artist as well, because I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. I think, like, I find it very easy to separate art from artist when it comes to things. So, like, if it turned out tomorrow that David Lynch was a fucking horrible rapist, murderer, serial killer, I wouldn't stop liking Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't feel ownership over David Lynch.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't feel ownership over his art or whatever, you know, but it's like that's kind of a gift that's been given to us. But some people do go a step ahead, like Scream 5. That whole movie is kind of about this specific topic, you know,
fan culture. Yeah,
exactly, where it becomes dangerous, and it becomes, because in Asian culture it's kind of, you have like idols, you know what I mean, but then when you kind of get into that thing of idolization versus just being a fan of somebody, it becomes like a step up. It becomes like borderline obsessive. Yeah. And that's not me saying Asian fans are obsessive, but I'm saying even the fact that they're called idols. Level. It is. Even the fact that they're called idols kind of like separates it a little bit, you know?
We see you, BTS stans, we see you.
But exactly, BTS ARMY. You know, like, it's a thing. You know?
I think that, like, you do bring up, like, the very important point that, like, I mean, like, I think if we're going to talk about the most recent one, I mean, I suppose Kanye would be, like, the kind of really big one. Where, like, even though, like, he's a massive anti-Semite and a crazy fucking Nazi, like, the fact that his music, I still love his music. You know, there's still,
that's okay.
There's still good. Like, I am perfectly fine with separating, you know, J.K. Rowling's books from her, because her politics aren't actually in those books. Her politics only came out after the fact. So, like, when it comes to something like, you know, this, where you have Mimania, who is someone who cannot distinguish that fact, and has crossed the line, borderline obsessive compulsive, to being overly protective of someone that they've never met, that they don't know anything about their private life. Well, I mean, after the fact you do find it out,
that's so
but
creepy.
like, that they don't really know the inner workings of that person and how it all works, to be so obsessive with that, like, to go to the point of murdering hecklers and murdering managers and things like that, because he sees it as a betrayal of not just Mimuru but of him as well, because he's part of that culture. He like takes her persona on. Oh, he does. Like, he starts to, again, this movie is very kind of ahead of the curve in a lot of ways, because like online culture still, like, online culture was very much so definitely a part of the 90s, but like this gets into like social media almost. Oh yeah, for 1997, which is huge. Like, because the internet was only just becoming a thing back then. Like, wall chats or group chats were only kind of like
like this is like message boards and stuff like
message boards,
where it's like you're not necessarily having like instant messenger just yet, where you can, like, social media is not what it is or was then as it is today, obviously. But like, watching this again, I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy for 1997. Yeah. You know, it kind of, like, I feel like a huge part of why fans, I think, have become more obsessive is because we've been given more access to celebrities or to quote-unquote idols now, because of things like Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is. I feel like people now feel like we're living our daily lives with celebrities, which is why I feel like how Mimania has kind of there. Like, I feel like this movie could be made again now, and you wouldn't have to change much. You know, like, he's very much so kind of like a very modern idea of a villain, or modern idea of a protagonist or of an antagonist. You know, and it's very creepy bully, though, shall we say? But it is
a troll, but in a
the other direction.
In the other direction, exactly. Like, the Darknet is his home, and you know, Mimuru is like his light. You know what I mean? And I think it's very interesting, the concepts that are at play, which is like internet culture, toxic fandoms, sort of like trying to find one's own way in life, and then dealing with grief in a problematic way. Because like is it Rima or Rimu? I can't remember her name.
The manager.
Rumi. I wasn't far off there. Her whole deal is, because first of all, she sees that Mima, her career, once it's shooting off, it's big and blah blah blah, and then once she sees Mimaru leaving that, she sees a betrayal herself.
Yeah.
And she sees this sort of like sort of this trio as being like her own way of living through them and things like that, and so she sees it as a betrayal, and then she starts to go in the opposite direction, where she's not dealing with her own grief in a productive or positive way. So she breaks down, obviously behind cameras, because the reveal is later on she was the one behind everything, or at least what we think is behind everything, and
because it kind of comes about in a weird,
in the weirdest way, fucking way.
Because then it's like, is it or did it?
Yeah,
you know,
it's just real weird. You know, the way this movie sort of breaks down like mental instabilities in different people is very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, because we get the idea that Rumi had the same kind of journey as Mima did, but it went exclusively bad for her. You know, because people kind of talk about her as an ex-pop star, so she did make it some way, shape, or form. You know, like, she's referred to as kind of a past idol in a way, but not by everybody. So it's like we kind of get the sense that she might have been a one-hit wonder and maybe tried to go the same direction as Mima. But she's kind of almost living vicariously through Mima, and you get the sense that she's like, no, you're not doing it the way I want it. You know, so it's like she's getting frustrated with her, but all the while kind of playing it as borderline almost like a mother character, because she's kind of with her at all times, and then Mima is saying she feels only really comfortable when Rumi's around, you know. But it's weird. It is such a weird left turn, because you're kind of trained in this movie to feel safe when Rumi is around.
Yes.
As well. So then, like, when the literal face like is peeled away at the end, it's just like, oh shit. You know, and then, like, I don't know, it's so funny to see her just like squeezed into the same dress.
That to me is absolutely like jaw-dropping, because I've never seen this film before, and I knew there was supposed to be some sort of like demented reveal at the end, and I knew whoever it was that was actually attacking, I knew it wasn't like, oh, just some imaginary figment of her imagination come to life. It was just her trauma seeking her out in a very literal way, and the fact that it was Rumi underneath it, I was like, because I was seeing like the expansion of the dress and how tight it was.
It's that like Ursula moment where she like bursts out of the dress at the end, you know?
It's just so demented, and like, because that's another theme as well, is like over reliance on oneself. Because when you are oftentimes Mimaru is the person that prefers to be on their own, that likes their own company and things like that. Yeah. And oftentimes they will seek someone out who's much more how will I say it, like likes being in the spotlight and things like that for comfort, because oftentimes that sort of extroverted person is a bigger comfort.
Well, that's so true. She literally breaks away from Sham to be a solo act, and then we actually find out that Sham is doing so much better without her. As a duo,
which I kind of enjoy, until you realize Rumi is just like, you guys need to be fucking stressing out and getting your shit together and learning your choreo, and then slams the door in their faces.
But I do like exactly, like, she's pissed that it's going well without her or with that, because I at first didn't realize that she was only Mima's manager, that she wasn't just the manager for the whole band. But then it's weird when we see later that they've gone up in the charts. They're still in the same office. So Rumi is giving Mima the news about like the scenes she's going to have to do, or the fact that she's booked this detective show, which is borderline Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, there's a mention of this really, really nice like actress that's just like, hey, listen, you're a really nice person. But she turns around and she's like... Eerie. But she turns around and she's like talking about like he ate them. And like all of this other thing. I'm like, oh my god, what is this? Suit,
so just like, oh shit.
It was pretty good and I like it. But Rumi is just given, or not Rumi, Mimaru is just given these throwaway lines in scenes, and obviously she has to break into that kind of genre and stuff like that, but like,
what's the line? Hold on, I gotta figure it out. Go ahead.
it's just sort of sad for her because she's terrified of fucking it up. She goes over the line over and over and over and over again, as many times as possible to try and create different versions of what she says. And it's only like, I think it's only like 3 words or something, and it's such a simple line and it's so throwaway. And then she just books like rape scenes and all of this type of things that I just thought, oh my god.
This to me it's when she actually starts to get into the film industry that really, really gives me parallels to Mulholland Drive. And I have to think that, like, obviously the idea of breaking into the acting industry or into the entertainment industry in general is generally shown to be seedy in entertainment, which is weird because it's kind of a snake eating its own tail kind of thing. But that's nearly always the portrayal, is like, oh my god, I've broken into, let's just say, quote unquote Hollywood, or I've broken into this new industry. It's always shown as like gorgeous on its face, which is like what I'm talking about when we see the fans talking, like those 3 dudes who we get to see kind of going about their daily life and talking about like how they've gotten like the new rare B-side from their first album, or how like whatever it is, or they're picking up like new magazines and reading about her. We're getting to see that they're like, oh yeah, it's actually kind of cool, she's actually like really, really hot, whatever. You barely even get to see anything like when she's raped in this thing, and then we get to see that the actual rape scene, it's weird. She's actually kind of okay with it.
Yeah, so she's
just like, oh,
I think
like places, and she gets back into it. But it's Rumi who's having difficulty with it.
Yeah, I think the way she sort of sees it as is like, oh my god, this is your first acting gig, and you're going straight into the hard hitting kind of stuff. I think it's just such a massive leap of faith for not Mimina but Rumi to do that, and like it's almost traumatizing to her. But Mimiru is just looking at like, I have to do. She's like, I think she even fights at Ruby beforehand. She's like, no, I'm going to fucking do this. I have to do it if I want to get into this industry.
My parents will kill me, but hey,
you know. And I appreciate the level of dedication, because hey, at the end of the day, it's just a job, and most of the time it's literally him just sitting on top of you, humping you. So like, it's not asking a lot, I suppose, of either party. When it comes to things like that, I mean, like, sex scenes are happening all the time in movies, so it's not really a big deal. But,
like, I get it, it's traumatic, quote unquote, in scene.
Yeah.
You know, but again, the way Rumi reacts almost makes me think that this actually happened to Rumi, that she's seeing this happen again. Like it happened to her in real life, not that she had to do this same kind of scene. Yeah. You know, because she's literally crying. She like gets up and runs out of the studio and leaves or whatever. But I don't know, it's kind of like very professional in the way that like even the guy's like, oh, sorry, and she's like, no, it's okay.
She does it so well.
She gets raped so well.
But no, what I mean is in the sense that she really does push through her art, because she wants to dedicate herself to a life that she can see herself going through.
She's good at it.
And she's good at it, and she performs it so well and so powerful, and the scene is moving and all of that type of thing. And she just wants it, and like the fact that she does that one line, she had one line in one episode of one series. Who are you? And she just goes over it, and it's only something like 3 or 4 words, and she just goes over and over and over and over and over again in her head, in order to make sure that whatever way she delivers it to screen, that she gives it her all. And that's just pure dedication. She's gonna work. That's what she does.
It is.
Work,
bitch.
Work.
Everybody likes her, you know, on set. Like it doesn't necessarily go the way you think it would. Where you think like the movie is kind of setting you up to think that she's going to fail because she's nervous and she's like expressing that, and everybody is like just straight up doubting her, even though like it's what she wants to do. There's a lot of behind the scenes talk of like, it's never been profitable for a pop star, because people keep referring to her as like, she's a pop idol. Yeah. You know, as if like she's a piece of shit for that. Yeah. You know, as if Cher's not standing right there. Snap out of it.
Snap out of it.
Oh. I love that everybody, gay or gay adjacent at least, has a Cher impression. Yeah. You know? Like Emma, who doesn't... I probably couldn't name one Cher song.
Take me home. Take me home.
Sugar, tell me what's wrong. You know?
What Tuesday?
Waterloo. You know? Like Emma, who probably couldn't name one Cher song besides Believe, has a great Cher impression. You know? But,
you know who doesn't have a great Cher impression?
Officer
Mania. I want to talk about his murders and how he corrupts himself.
It's weird. I kind of feel like... You know how I was talking about earlier when you showed me that shirt and I said, where's my hug?
Uh-huh.
This is that guy I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
The guy who's like a little too into what he's into. But it's the same kind of incel. Exactly though. But that's exactly this thing where it's kind of like...
Incel by Jean-Paul Gaultier.
No one's going to touch you.
Simp by Chanel.
But for real, it's like, it's that kind of...
Murderer.
That's not my scarecrow. But like, I swear to God, every time, like, I actually go back and listen to our Jeepers Creepers episode every couple of weeks. I think it's my favorite when we record it. But this is that kind of guy I was talking about earlier, where it's the like, where's my hug? You know, where it's just like,
he hasn't been he just needs to be fucked.
It's like he's being too altruistically good to the point where it becomes a negative.
Yes.
Where he's like willing to kill for her, and it's like, but she hates that more than she hated the initial punks who were causing a scene at her show.
Yeah.
You know, even though they were like throwing stuff at her, it's like, but they're not murdering her manager or her sound mixer or her line producer, you know? But he's so creepy because he's so realistic.
His teeth are all separated. They're going in every which direction. His eyes
Slats
are
of attic wood.
Goldfish.
We only get to see the one. It's literally like
and it's covered in hair. Yeah,
because we get the idea that he's deformed in some way, shape, more so
he's
than
super
like
tall.
Yeah,
very thin, very gaunt, and his skin is almost like sepia tone green in a strange way.
He looks like one of the Huns from Mulan.
Yeah,
like he's grey
without the yellow glowing eyes. Yeah,
for real.
The less racist version.
Yeah, I love that that's Disney's idea of what a Mongolian looks like. That's so horrible. That like they have like claws. You know what I mean? They gave him fangs in that movie. Like he was a monster. And like I'm pretty sure he has like pointed ears, you know? Like he's borderline a vampire. But like there's a shot later on where she's heading into the studio to do, I think it's the rape scene, where she's heading in and there's all the fans waiting at the door, and then they all kind of get like shoot away, or they all kind of leave, and then we just get to see his back.
Oh, he's there.
He stays, and she's going up in the elevator, and she's kind of a little bit like nervous or whatever. But it's as the elevator doors are closing, she sees him at the door. But that's so creepy.
That's his way of getting in and out. I'll tell you that much.
It's really scary though, because it's like you get the idea that like this is what celebrities go through. I feel like that would be the scariest part of being a celebrity is
the fan culture.
It's the fan culture, not just having all eyes on you, or not just having like so much media attention.
It's the Bjork moment.
It is, but it literally gives me that though. It's like this guy.
Like,
what does this guy plan to do when he gets to her?
Yeah, I mean, like she quite literally receives an envelope that was meant for her, and it blows up in some other guy's hand and face. It's
literally the Bjork moment.
You know, it's literally the Bjork moment. Like, and if you don't know what we're talking about, Lee, over to you, Lee.
So, as the resident Bjork expert,
Bjork,
and I actually think it was about the same year, 97, 98, where Bjork had a stalker, and he had sent a nail bomb to her house in London.
Why did he send the nail bomb?
Because he was obsessed with her. Just think about it in the same kind of Jodie Foster kind of stalker kind of way. Where it's like, I love you so much, I kind of want to be you. In a way, you know, because I think the parallels between the show she's on and what she's really going through are like definitely there. Yeah. The idea of like Buffalo Bill loves women so much that
he wants to live in their skin.
But exactly, you know, I think that's kind of that's my impression of what this guy would do if he actually got to her. Because it's like I don't get the sense that he wants to date her or wants to parade her around. I get the sense that he wants to be her. Kind of. Yeah. Because he literally is being her online. He's posting about her, or he's posting as her on these idol forums, you know?
Stalking her.
It's so scary.
It really is, and he's tall, he's intimidating. The fact that he can move into places so because he's so unremarkable, he's so
Exactly.
unnoticeable that he can literally slip through anywhere, and no one will have noted the thing.
Like, he's a quote-unquote nobody, which is dangerous.
He I think
stick out.
even the cops were just like, there was kind of nobody here. Like, the things, even though there's photographic, there's images, there's evidence of him being there, they're still not recognizing it because he was so invisible and so uninteresting that, like, no one was just like,
and that's the Bjork
paying
stalker
attention,
thing, is like, he was just a dude.
He also blew his brains out.
There's footage of it,
That's fucked up.
there's this joke in my friend group that's me, because the footage of him killing himself is him, like, covered in crazy makeup, and he, like, shaved his eyebrows and his head and all this kind of stuff, but the video is him in his apartment with the, like, possibly maybe video, like, on in the background, which is so fucked up. But anyway, this is, like, after Bjork had her child and stuff, and he sent her a package that had like, set explosives and like some kind of, like, astringent, like an acid or something in it, like it was a nail bomb. So if it had gotten to her and she had opened it, she would have been killed. But they were able to intercept it before it got to her. But that's why Bjork doesn't really fuck with fans anymore. Which is why I always say, if I was to ever meet her, I want to be introduced to her. I don't want to run up to her. Exactly, because I don't want that to be, like, the moment. Like, I would love to be at a gala one day, or at a showing, or at a gallery or something, and to be, this is Bjork, you know? So it could be, like,
formal, peaceful.
Because if I saw her and was like, oh my god, she wouldn't like that, you know? But it's like, again, I, like, respect her enough as an artist to not do that. Like, if she walked down my street right now, I wouldn't go out there. You know, it would be enough for me to be like, you know. But, like, I think that's actually a perfect parallel. I'm really happy you brought that up.
Oh yeah, like, I can see you can draw the lines quite easily. And connect the stories. It really is quite, because there's a fine line. Like, I really love Florence and the Machine and Florence Welch and things like that, but I'm not, like, I know I've differentiated the line between just liking her music and being obsessive over anything and everything. You know what I'm saying?
This happened the year before this movie came out.
Wow.
Just saying.
So, like, there is a huge difference between a fan and, you know, me mania, you know? And especially, like, when it comes to
like,
their
you would want to go up
apartment.
to her and just, like, ah! And
Exactly.
scream and cry and stuff. But it's like, but you don't want to do that because they're also just a person. That's a lot to dump on somebody.
Because, like, when it comes to, like, me mania's apartment, like, or, like, I want to say, like, literal chat room, like, it's covered from, you know, ceiling to floor in photos of Mimaru and Cham, and it's nothing but one big, the only light in the room is just the light from the monitor that is in front of him, and it's fucking terrifying.
Now, my friends have jokingly
like
referred to my room as the Drew Barrymore Museum, because I used to have pictures of her on my wall or whatever. But again, Drew Barrymore is another one. I wouldn't just, like, ugh! It would just be like, oh my god, it's actually really, really, really cool to meet you. You know? But on the inside, I would be jumping up off the walls and shit, you know?
You doing big back flops and flip flops.
For real.
And just peeing on the floor.
Spread eagles, but yeah, I think...
you do?
I sure do. Period. And you've been listening to They're Here.
No, I want to talk very quick about the murders, because these things are graphic. I fucking love them. I love whenever blood in anime comes out, like, it
holds in the air for a couple of seconds before it lands.
It's just so fucking cool. And the imagery is, like, one guy was he was in the I think it was her line manager or something.
It is the line producer for the show.
He's in the parking lot.
It's so
hears
scary.
Her music. That is fucking scary.
And it stops.
Yeah.
And then it's when
in
it
the
comes
elevator.
down. But the sound mixing for this is crazy because it's the speakers are blown out.
Yeah.
Like it's really loud.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have your headphones pressed into your ear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that scene is so creepy.
And
that
it's
scene
so
could almost
quick.
make a perfect, like, short
short horror,
clip or
yeah.
something.
He literally just pushes him in, and then he stabs him in both eyes.
They're gone, yeah.
And just leaves him there in the elevator. And it was like... And it's
the way
not
he
even
just-
loud, or there's a
The
little
head just flopped
scuffle.
forward.
All you hear is a little scuffle, and then next thing you know, the elevator comes back down, and boom.
It's so good. It's
So
such a
good.
perfect setup. Like, it's
Yeah.
actually... I think it's the creepiest scene in the movie.
Yeah.
For me. Or it's the most, like, outwardly horror scene. Maybe. At least it's the first one that we get. Up until now, it's kind of just been, like, a stalkery movie, or it's just been kind of unsettling. We do actually get a scene of... see, this is how, like, right at the start of internet becoming not just a nerd thing is, because Mima just gets a computer. She first gets a computer because she
doesn't know. She's not very good with technology.
No, she's not. And I think she gets
Like me.
she gets an email, or not an email, she gets like a letter or something that's
Yeah.
like talking about a blog or whatever, or like a message board. So she gets Rumi to set this up for her and to kind of like try and figure out what it is. And she's on this like again, remember these computers where it was like this huge like giant white
Brick.
box. It's massive.
Yeah.
I do kind of miss
Nowadays-
that though.
They're literally called after the stuff we need to survive.
You know, like I can do everything. I can do more on this than she ever could on like 5 of those computers.
Yeah.
You know, although why would you need 5 computers? Whatever. But yeah, so she's kind of like getting up on this thing, and it's all super, super like intriguing to her. But as we go on, we get the sense that we not even get the sense she's being watched.
Yeah.
So it's like, is Mimania just living like right over there?
Yeah, there's often times where there's shots that lead from the apartment out through the window towards the other buildings that are in the area, and you get the sense that basically he's like across the road, like with a fucking pair of binoculars.
And it's the way these scenes are shot as well. She's so isolated because she's generally the only light on, which is
Everything
very
is
unusual
encroaching
for
on
like
her.
Japan.
Yeah.
As well, it's like you think of Japan as just being this like
Japan is a nightlife city.
exactly like it never turns off, you know.
Yeah.
But then it's like you were saying with these zoom out shots, it pulls out and there's no lights on around anywhere, and it's just her at like the top of the building and everything. So like she's really isolated.
I wouldn't mind
as
her
well as literally.
apartment though. It's quite nice. It's small, but
I
it's
would, no,
quite
I would
nice.
switch
It's
it up.
very
It's the fact.
accessible.
No, it's like when she goes into the bathroom, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it does.
It's not even that it's small. It's the way she has it decorated. It's very cramped. You know, she goes to get into the bath, and she has all of her laundry hung up all over the wall, which is actually like a very common practice in Japan. Is you dry your laundry and stuff like that in the bathroom, like you hang it up over your actual bath. But like the way she has it set up is just like, oh.
It does feel crowded, yeah.
And her sitting room is also her
bedroom.
Also her bedroom, but the bedroom is again also kind of very common for Japan. It's like the mattress is floor level, which is actually better for you.
It's good for
I
your
think.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love the orthopedics on this show. But yeah, just like it's so, I don't know, the idea of a stalker is so just like, oh, cause it's real. It's not some wraith following you around. It's not some demon stalking your dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally
Just
somebody
some
who's just
guy.
decided to incorporate themselves into your life.
Yeah.
But at a distance, which is the scariest part. Because we kind of get this sense, it's once she starts figuring out definitely she's being stalked. Because
I love that realization moment.
Yeah.
Because I think what sets it off is she has this routine that he has been stalking her
it's
on.
the milk and and the fish brand of food for her cat. Exactly, yeah, she's reading that as he's writing it. Because she's reading the Idol blog as somebody is...
It's like, it's titled like "What's Mimaru up to?" or "Mimaru's room" or something like that.
But it's
And
so
it's just
exact,
so exact
that she's like, he was there earlier when I was in the store. So then when she next leaves the apartment, she's on her way to the studio. She gets the train, and I adore the train scenes in this movie.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Because this to me is also a lot of where Black Swan gets a lot of the like mirror conversation. Like she has a lot of like Natalie Portman in that movie has a lot of moments where she looks in the mirror and the mirror is not mirroring what's going on, you know. And this is where you first kind of start to get like a split in personality, but we also first start to get her being panicked and worried, because this is the first time where she's on the train and she's kind of like looking around and behind her to see like, who could this be?
Yeah.
Like, who's paying just a little bit too much attention to me?
Yeah.
You know, because she is a celebrity, so she is known, you know, but it's like, who, like that makes it so much harder to differentiate
Who's who and who's
she's
just
not just
fan.
a nobody. Exactly.
It's kind of good that we go in this direction, because like the psychological aspects to this film, I'm gonna be honest, I would consider this a psychological thriller rather than a horror movie, but it does have those horror elements in it, and I do think that the psychological aspect provides some of that horror kind of aspects that I think of.
If we go for that, then Scream is not a horror movie.
No, I don't consider it a horror. It's a slasher, not a horror.
Which is a horror.
Listen, you shut up.
No.
I'm getting to a point here. So the psychological aspects to Mimaru's sort of downfall is this sort of like highly debated and contested as to what's actually happening and what's not happening. And I will say this sort of shots of her, you know, going to the supermarket, or those guys picking their B-sides on the tracks and shit like that. Yeah. I love those types of shots because they remind me of things like Ghost in a Shell.
Yeah.
They remind me of Akira, where there's all just these random inputs into, now obviously for this is a little bit more pointed in specific because they want to point out that the guy's following her, but it's kind of cool to see Tokyo Japanese daily life.
It is.
In
there's all these
form.
like there's all these background players and stuff that like,
and you can hear conversations just going on in the background. I love it. It's so interesting. It just adds a more layer of realism.
Exactly, and that's what I was kind of saying at the start. Everything is very intentional, because like, you're not just going to have extras just having conversations amongst themselves. These are all like very purposefully recorded lines that are just like played in the background or whatever. I do love that kind of slice of life kind of, like 90s look at Tokyo daily life, you know.
I appreciate it, you know, this because they're intentionally put in there.
Tokyo kind of dark, but only
dingy,
when
almost I would say to an extent.
To her. It's when we're seeing from other characters' perspective, Tokyo looks like what we would expect Tokyo to look like. You know, like it's bright and colorful and there's advertisements and stuff. But then for Mima, it's like, it's not big, it's not expansive,
it's dark and oppressive.
Even when we see these shots, there's actually a shot later on of just like an overview of Tokyo, and I'm like, fucking, the idea of drawing that. You know what I mean? It's not like the Akira shot at the beginning where everything is kind of vague shapes and we get the explosion.
The white bomb.
It's like just bomb. Like a shot of all these buildings, and even though that's a giant like square of like land, it looks so lonely. Yeah. You know, even though there's literally millions of people around, it still is just like, she's so alone.
It's very true. I think the isolation contributes to her insomnia, her paranoia, her fear of everyone around her. How it all sort of progresses and how she starts to realize that even her own shadow might be against her is like just so beautifully written into that story. And it's ever so subtle things. So it's the slight look at, like, you know, in one reflection in the TV monitor as she passes by, she's not wearing the outfit she's wearing the Cham outfit.
I love it, you know? So much. It's just so twisted.
Ever so slight changes as the story goes along, and I did notice it. And I mean, obviously there's ones where like her reflection literally turns around to look at her and talks to her.
It's so just like it's so bitchy.
It's so bitchy and demented, but there's just those subtle shots that I noticed, and there was the one where it was unintentional. I don't think you were supposed to catch it straight away, but I did rewind it, and it was a shot where she's passing one of the cameras and her reflection isn't her in the clothes for the scene that she's shooting, it's her in the Cham outfit. Yeah. And it's so smart and so demented in so many ways.
Well, it's kind of trying to show that like she's
going down the rabbit hole.
Exactly, and she isn't exactly sure. To me, it reads as she's not exactly sure that she wants this actress thing. It's kind of what she thinks she wants, or what she thinks she should do next. The
duality in herself.
Exactly, because we have her in her scenes, and then we have her in the Cham outfit. That has to be an intentional name.
I'd absolutely believe that. I think that the way it sort of subtly goes from her, let's say her reflection or her shadow, like, you know, just turning slightly more or looking at her more or this or that, to full on I'm better than you, and then it just becomes a separate entity unto itself. And I really appreciate that, because it wasn't it was so subtle at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, oh fuck, this thing's quite literally chasing you with
it's two characters,
ice pick needle or
it's
something.
An ice pick.
Yeah,
it's two different characters in the movie. I want to say, anytime there's a fight scene in this movie, the fucking music goes so hard.
It slaps.
It's giving Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah.
It just goes the fuck off. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
I think, when is the first fight scene that we see?
The first fight scene is the hecklers at the thing, but the following fight scene is actually Me Mania with the guy in the hallway. It's so he just goes up and pushes, they fight, and then he just rams that ice pick needle into his, I think it's into his nose or up his jaw or something like that.
In the face.
And then he just collapses on the floor, because obviously he's like not functioning anymore. He died.
No, I will say that, like, Mima can, like, put up a fight.
She fucking can. That bitch, like, straight up jumps. She fucking Blade Runners the shit out of buildings. Woman jumps from place to place.
Oh my god, I love, though, when the identity does eventually split off. She's like a sprite.
Oh,
like, she's just kind of hopping from post to post.
Yeah.
You know, but it's in that kind of, it did give me a lot of, like, Ghibli vibes, where it's like, she's kind of, there's not a lot of animation between the shots. She's kind of just,
it's just the same shot.
She's kind of just bouncing and hopping from one to the other.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I think that's the part where you can start to see that's what she's seeing, rather than what's actually happening. Yeah, like, I'd say what was going on,
because then she just vanishes. She just becomes not there anymore. You know?
Like Rumi, I'd say what happened is when Rumi takes on the persona, which she does at several points, obviously, because she, like, literally goes back and forth between
you think Rumi she's actually there at some point?
At some point,
like when she sees herself, it's actually Rumi.
Yeah,
I thought that.
I do believe that there. Now, the reflection stuff, not so much. I think that's just her projecting onto herself because of her doubts. But I do think the physical interactions, the one in her apartment, the one obviously towards the end, I do think Rumi is actually there.
So do we then think that Rumi is kind of like this might be kind of like a reach, but like Rumi, like, she had metamorphosized.
And now she's a champ bitch ready for the runway.
Because she comes out of her skin at one point.
Yes, I think what's going on is,
like, she expands past the body.
Yeah. So what I think is happening is, well, first of all, the persona breaks. For Rumi, obviously, she's suffered definitely a dissociative split personality disorders and things like that. She definitely, what happens there is, I definitely see the fact that her persona breaks past the Mimiru persona that she has, because she believes herself to be her at certain times.
I think that might have happened at the rape scene.
Yes,
that might have been like the split for her.
I think what's going on is, anytime the doppelganger, shall we say, is on screen physically interacting with Mimiru, that's Rumi fucking with her. Okay. Physically.
Yeah, this is also why I think David Lynch plays a lot into, or why I feel like David Lynch has to be at least somewhat inspired by this, or I don't know, because Twin Peaks had come out already by this point, and that plays a lot into doppelgangers. Mm-hmm. That's a kind of section of horror I never really considered, the idea of a doppelganger and actually how scary that is. Like, the idea of somebody completely becoming you and taking over you.
Well, that's what is it? Single white female. Yeah.
That came out in, I actually think, the same year as Twin Peaks ended, 91, I think.
Because it's just such a terrible, a terrifying aspect to someone, because you're like,
it's depersonalization. You've lost all of yourself.
You have lost yourself, your sense of purpose, your identity. It's all
like
of this type of thing.
Losing the sense of the individual.
Yeah,
you know, it's the cockroachification of, like, human shit. It's like when you it's like the loss of the idea of being special and being unique, you know, which on its face sounds kind of like whatever, but like anytime I see movies like that, it's actually always very kind of frightening.
Yes, it's unsettling. It's the uncanny valley effect as well. Like when
we do kind of get that in this though, because there's people who look like people, and then there's people who
don't look like people.
Don't. You know. Now I wanted to
gorgeous, just goldfish, just gorgeous goldfish.
Mima is not Japanese. I think she's American, because there's a line, a kind of throwaway line at the start, like, she moved here to become a pop star, to become a pop idol. So it's like, did she come from what I'm going to assume is America here? Because like also a lot of these characters are not drawn to look Japanese either.
True.
Do you know what I mean? I kind of feel like Rumi might also not be Japanese, because there is definitely...
Rumi is very definitely a goldfish.
But like I don't know, like this isn't important to the story or anything, but like a lot of the times, like I think we're kind of set up to assume anime made
Characters
in Japan is set in Japan.
Yeah.
But I think that's the whole thing with like Ghost in the Shell, is people were like,
unless she's specifically stated like Tokyo, Neo Tokyo, or something like that. I kind of just presume it's sort of generalized.
Well, because then like in Akira is
Akira is Neo Tokyo.
Yeah, but that's like way ahead in the future.
Neo Tokyo.
Is Kaneda Japanese in that movie?
Kaneda?
Because he doesn't look Japanese.
Kaneda is Japanese name.
I know, but it's a Japanese movie.
Fair.
Like Mima is
differentiating also, characters
like
from
Mima is not
and situational.
Mima is not an American name, but it's kind of inferred that she's not Japanese. This isn't important at all to the story. I'm just kind of wondering, because it's the whole thing of like Ghost in the Shell, the whole issue with Scarlett Johansson. Now, crucify me if I'm wrong, but I think the whole issue with Scarlett Johansson, people were pissed that she wasn't Japanese, but the
character is not Japanese.
The character is not Japanese in the exactly. So I think it's like Japanese made anime where
original anime director said
exactly. So we're to assume that
totally
they're
fine.
Okay.
She's not meant to be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But a lot of people were the irony of it.
The irony. No, I like irony.
The Iranian. But that was the irony of the situation, because the irony was that it was a load of white American fans that were saying like, hey yo, she's meant to be Japanese, and the Japanese anime creator was like, no, she's white.
But even in that movie, they made it that she was Japanese. She's just in a white
woman's body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that whole meme though, where it's like the new Gandhi movie, it'll be Scarlett Johansson. You know? It's like Scarlett Johansson starring as Rosa Parks or whatever, you know.
Cleopatra, what?
That issue is starting to annoy me, but that's probably an off the podcast conversation.
Yeah.
But just to round up, Cleopatra wasn't black.
Cleopatra was Macedonian.
But there's proof of that. Like, that's just literally what she looked like. You know?
Your woman in the trailer going like, I don't care what any of you say, my mama said she was black, she's black. Or like
I bet your mom also said the tooth fairy was real. You know, that Santa Claus was a thing. You know, it sounds like your mom.
Also, it doesn't fucking matter. It's a fucking Netflix documentary. Who cares?
But it's because it's historical.
Yeah. It'd be different if it was a movie.
Yeah, like they're talking about like the history of it. Like I don't care about like race swapping generally. Like that.
It never bothered me.
But then if you're trying to go for like historically accurate, it's like then make it historically accurate.
The same thing was with what's her name, Anne Boleyn. The thing I was like, I think it was a British woman, but she's black, and I think she's Jamaican or something like that.
Yeah.
But she's grown up in London and things like that, and then she's just like, she got a lot of backlash because of that. It was like, well, yeah, there's historical precedents and paintings of a pale ass white woman.
Yeah. So Perfect Blue.
So back to the biracial standardization of people.
Yeah, it actually makes like, I don't know why that even came up, but I was just kind of wondering. Again, like we haven't gotten into anime and stuff like that just yet. Yeah. So
I think no, it'll be good. I mean, I'd like to do something like Junji Ito. I think the Junji. Oh my god, I fucking love that.
Actually, I've just started watching Berserk,
gorgeous.
the anime.
Oh, Berserk is amazing. That's definitely horror.
Yeah, for sure. We can get into that maybe at some point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I happily do like an anime.
We're still yet to talk about any other media besides movies, though. We said from the start of this was going to be books, magazines, Fangoria, or whatever it is. We still haven't.
So back to murdering people. So I want to talk about this ending. This sort of like how this sort of pans out is basically Mimaru realizes that Rumi is the one that is talking to Mimania to, you know, fuck her up and take over, right? And that's when Rumi confronts her. She shows up in the outfit, all of this type of thing, and she had metamorphosized.
It's
back
disturbing
into,
though.
and it's like every few shots, it just goes back between being the Mimaru clone and Rumi.
Yeah,
and it's just so demented, and the fact that like towards the end when and I love that shot of her like pushing her through the glass and then falling down. It's fantastic.
We get that iconic shot at the end, which is like when you see, if anybody ever posts about Perfect Blue or you see anything, it's the hand, like the gloved hand kind of coming up like this with, like just kind of swiping the blood on the face. I love that so much.
It's gorgeous, and I do think the whole kind of like bouncing from building to building to building is something that Mimaru is experiencing in her head.
Yeah, I don't think Rumi is.
No, I don't think either, but I do think it's very interesting that it sort of jumps back and forth between her and her.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, this is most definitely her seeing her own demons in Rumi, and, like, this is her projecting that onto... Like, when she's, like, bouncing across the buildings, I just imagine, like, Rumi clambering over something to, like, hop her over a wall. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I imagine.
The idea of this.
You know?
This woman,
this fat bitch,
yeah, Rumi, which like you can only imagine is her dress size, is Rumi. I don't know. The idea of her just like over a wall is so funny to me. I don't know why she became Eric Cartman in my head. But yeah, I don't know. I think do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, the way it happens is basically... I mean, obviously, the reveal is that Rumi is the one that's been behind it all and things like that. And... What happens to Mimania? What happens to him? Does he die?
So, no, they have a rap party after they finish the last scene.
Yes, that's true.
And this is creepy because she's, like, in this studio where they film. Now, one thing I did want to say, just before we kind of get to the end, is this is kind of where stuff really starts to like for me, where she's talking about stuff, and then like every once in a while we'll have a scene where she's kind of having a breakthrough, we think, and then it will pull out and it'll be like cut, you know, and it'll be, oh shit, that was actually a scene within the show, because Rumi had also pushed a lot for her to be in the scenes more, and to give her more lines and stuff as the sister of the murdered character, the person that they're investigating in the show. But then every once in a while, she'll be talking about stuff and she's like, I am me, I am the real me, or whatever. And then it'll pull out and it's like a double-sided glass police investigation kind of thing. Yeah. Where they're like, she's made up the Mima thing. So it's like, is she playing herself in this show? Or is this her really having a thing? Or is this actual investigators and she's imagining all of this as a show in her head that she's just acting in? Yeah, you know, because they're referring to her as Mima, not as her character name, you know. So there's a lot of it is very confusing in that way, where I kind of already started to be like, what the fuck is actually going on? Yeah, someone said to me that when I was talking about this film to them, said it's like, oh yeah, it's a very good accompaniment to something like Shutter Island. Because people were going along with the idea of, oh yeah, obviously they're do you read crazy, Shutter Island?
Like, we just do you read Satoshi? We have got to do that movie.
Is Sugar Cane? No, Sugar Cane is not that, but that could very easily be like the drag queenification of Sugar Cane. Yeah, but I
actually think that's Marilyn Monroe's name in Some Like It Hot. Sugar. It is actually. So
fabulous.
I fabulous. The hotel is fabulous.
Fabulous.
So, like, the way I view it is that it's a great accompaniment to something like Shutter Island, where they're going along with it in order to alleviate the mental instability or stress or things like that.
Yeah.
Because there are certain scenes that delve into that. There are certain scenes that go against that thought process, certainly from, like, a script writing point of view.
Yeah, like, I don't think there's, like, a clear cut, this is what's really happening and this is what's not. But those scenes where, like, it is the kind of investigation, they're outside of her point of view. So it's, to me, my reading of it until the end is, okay, she's actually crazy and she actually is imagining it all. So she was never a pop star.
Yeah.
Which to me actually is just straight up Mulholland Drive.
I
is
mean,
that it was all just a dream, kind of. It was all a figment of her imagination.
You can also look at it from a psycho perspective, but more so from the filming rather than the actual story, which was some scenes were put in and edited together in a certain way to confuse you on motives.
Oh, for sure.
You know, Willem Dafoe's scenes were always just, he knows, he doesn't know, he might know.
Yeah.
I'll just splice together to confuse you.
That also would be a good accompaniment because we really don't know with that, and we're not supposed to. Yeah, that's actually a good pairing.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way, because now, quote me if I'm wrong, I don't know if that was the intention or not, but certainly some scenes really do, like, confirm it, don't confirm it, or try to confuse you on it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd be curious
for
with the manga, actually, to see if there's anything outside of
what was actually put to screen.
Yeah, like what's left and
what was on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
I think the ending to it, though, certainly gives you a concrete kind of answer, because after the confrontation with Rumi, she receives flowers from Mimaru, and she goes, the doctor talks about how basically, like, sometimes the Rumi person is there, but most of the times the Mimaru persona is the one that takes over. So it's like, very Hitchcock in a way.
Yeah, where it really is the kind of pull out bird's eye view, this is what's really happening at the end. Now, I do love the fight scene between Mimania and...
it's so intense.
It is, but the whole time I was literally like, fuck him up. and she does, you know, you would think, like, she would be very easily overpowered by this big man. Like, he's not physically imposing in the way that he's like a Hulk or something.
He's
but
just
he's
really tall, yeah.
And, like, we've seen him kill people already. But then...
with ease.
But also, she finds the bloody clothes in her wardrobe. So it's like, is she being set up? Did she actually really kill? Is she the one killing people? Well, for real, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Because I the way I was reading it was that it was a setup.
Yeah.
Was that he got into her apartment and planted those there. But then also looking at it from, like in hindsight, after finishing the movie and everything, it's like, did she kill everybody that had died? You know, was she mailing these things to herself? You know, was she kind of, like, was the bomb in the letter sent to herself by herself? You know? But yeah, it all kind of comes to a head then at the end, after the rap party, where she does kill him, and just leaves his body there with the security guard who was already dead.
Fashion, darling.
We'll make it fashion, yeah. Honestly, murder is cunt. Oh my god, have you heard that sound? Do you know who Countess Loan is?
No.
From Real Housewives of New York.
No.
She's
definitely not then.
So camp, you would love her. But
is she extra, or are you basic?
She's extra. She's a countess.
She's a
like
countess.
Literally a countess. Well, she was a countess, and then she got divorced from him, but she got to keep the title. Which to me is camp. But she had this cameo somebody asked her to do, where she's like, and I hope you continue serving cunt. But she's this, like, proper old lady. But she's not old at all. She's probably, like, in her 50s. But hold on, I'll have to find it for you. Keep talking.
So the penultimate moment obviously is, like, the face being, like, pulled off and revealing
Freddy Krueger style.
Very Freddy Krueger style. And, like, basically she, like, kicks her away and she falls into just falling into that glass. I could see that slow motion. I could feel that in my gut.
How you keep on serving cunt. Keep on serving cunt.
Ka.
I fucking love her so much. She's so tacky though, but I love her.
So tacky though. Keep on serving. Can.
But so she, yeah, this is where like it all comes off, and she's just straight up fighting with herself.
Oh, it all comes off, does it?
But it does. Like literally, the persona comes off, the face comes off.
And her eyes go from being here to out
yeah,
here.
like as if it was a mask. But it literally is that Ursula in
moment.
the mermaid moment where she starts to... I can only say the word spill out of this outfit.
Yeah.
Because she obviously is like a larger woman. But she just kind of bursts out of Mima's body in front of Mima.
I don't want to say burst, I want to say expands. She does this thing where it just goes, she goes from this to this, bro.
But it like all rips apart. Now she's being attacked by herself. And she's running around and she's asking for help and everything. But people aren't acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And then they kind of arrive, and again, in like a really weird, dingy, abandoned area of Japan, which is odd, because we just saw a second ago that there's people everywhere. And they're fighting, and they're kind of like attacking each other, and they're like really going at it, like this is a fight to the death kind of thing.
And yeah, I mean Mimuru is trying to murder just as much as defend herself, even though it comes across as like her accidentally pushing her onto the glass and things like that. But when it comes obviously to the actual penultimate moment as to whether Rumi is going to live or die,
pulls herself up off it. And
like she's like, oh my god, what have I done? And then she tries to save her for being run over. It's one of those shit or get off the pot moments. Look, do you want her dead or don't you?
Now, this is another one of those moments we actually haven't talked about the parallels in other movies so far. We'll kind of, I'll do that in a sec. But this is one that people always go to. This is a moment that was shown in Black Swan, where she's standing in front of the truck that's coming, but they're like spotlights. They're not like headlights, you know, and she stands and she has her arms spread like this, and the truck is coming towards her. Am I boring you?
No. Just an update on my person. These usually after I said, you want it, you know what the price is. So usually I don't do that, but you look like a nice person, so I thought one day, add me to the friends, so when you will get upset or lonely, text me.
Nathan's trying to sell a bike helmet, not do prostitution, which you probably should have added some context there. But this is the scene. She's standing in front of the truck, and the truck is coming towards her, and it looks like a spotlight.
Yes,
you know, and this is
and
the
she's
scene that's
like
directly
blown out. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
now she looks like an angel.
Yes,
the way it is.
Yeah.
Now, this is directly referenced in Black Swan. But we also have the scene earlier where she's in the bath.
It was perfect.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, and that's the thing. If you watch Black Swan now,
yes,
you'll see a lot of parallels after watching Perfect Blue. Now, Darren Aronofsky, which is a very fun name to say, because it sounds like it doesn't it sound like a pasta?
Yeah.
You know, would you like the carbonara or the carbonara?
I want the carbonara.
Would you know the carbonara or the Darren Aronofsky? I'll have the chicken Darren Aronofsky.
God, I love a chicken Aronofsky.
That sounds so good, though, does it not?
Al dente Aronofsky.
Maybe with like a vodka sauce or whatever. But so yeah, the other one that's like directly referenced is her in the bathtub, where we get Jennifer Connelly doing the same thing in Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
and it's shot the same way, it's framed the same way, it's timed exactly the same way. But Aronofsky had actually purchased the rights to make a live action version of Perfect Blue back in the day, which is why he was able to use those shots so directly, because he had the rights to. I'm a sucker for seeing things made into live action just because I like to see
how it's interpreted.
Exactly, or like updated visuals and stuff.
I am not 100% sold on that idea. I don't think things need live action. I mean, Disney is a prime example of that.
They don't need them, but I like to see... I like to see things with like an alternate cover on them. You know what I mean?
Oh, bitch, whatever.
No, it's
please.
No, it's like when you get like a remaster of a game or something like that. It's like, I like to see what the like modern like look of that would be. Now, I don't think we need live adaptations of things. I don't think they really add much.
Yeah.
Unless they do add something like a Maleficent, where it is just like an expansion of the story. But I always thought, we kind of don't necessarily need a Perfect Blue live action remake, because we have the new Suspiria and we have Black Swan.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Black Swan also started off as a Suspiria remake. Natalie Portman was hired for a Suspiria remake in like 2008 or wherever it was, and she started doing all that ballet training for the Suspiria remake, and it turned into Black Swan. So Aronofsky never went with Suspiria.
Well, believe it or not,
I don't believe you. Get out.
the live action version was eventually made.
It's terrible. I've heard
It's
though.
awful. Focusing on a more faithful recreation of the original novel, the end result was a poor representation of the original animated story, and many found the live action film to be downright boring in comparison.
I'll watch it.
Oh,
I'll give it a look-see.
see, there you go. Katsuhiro Otomo was credited to help sell the film. Obviously, if you don't know who Otomo is, he was the original creator of Akira. So it makes sense that
When
you
is
can
that
see some
live
of his
action
designs.
happening? Jordan Peele is supposed to be making that.
I don't want it. I don't need it. Nobody asked for it. The
A
original
lot of people
is
asked for it.
excellent.
People have asked for it for years.
Listen, you. I
Now,
don't
also
want
that could
you.
be also viewed as a readaptation because Akira is based on a manga.
I don't need another
I want to see
readaptation
it.
of an adaptation.
I would like to. Now, do you know what's weird? I love Akira so much, but for some reason, I always fall asleep like 2/3 of the way through.
Akira?
Not because I'm bored, but it's one of those movies where it's
just too long.
It is very long. We went to go see that
It
in the
lulls
cinema
in
actually at
part
one
of
point.
it. I fucking love Akira. I think it's visually it's stunning. It's
I think that was
gorgeous
our
and
first
stunning. Did
movie
I mention it was
together
gorgeous
again.
and stunning?
Like coming out of COVID.
Coming out of
We went to go
COVID.
see that with.
You came out of COVID?
We went to go see that with Bobby.
With
That
Bobby.
was the first time I met Bobby.
Hey, Bobby. See you in June for your big Jew wedding.
You're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah. Go on.
Pause that for a minute. So why is that happening? So
You should take estrogen today.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Perfect blue.
I just saying.
I just think.
Yeah, that's kind of the movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I did.
I want to say, I'm going to expose you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually deepest, darkest secret around here.
Run with it.
Nathan has sex with animals. I'm joking.
They're back on the tree. They're on my blossom tree. You little shit.
You can hear us. I know you can hear us.
You little...
Oh, somebody's giving out to them.
Yeah?
No, it's another kid.
Oh.
Whatever. We'll deal with this afterwards.
Yeah. Little
But
punks, little punk ass bitches.
I almost low-key had to convince you last week that this was a horror movie.
And you still haven't convinced me.
How?
It takes a long...
It's almost like being set in your ways is annoying and nobody likes it. This movie is very definitely a horror movie.
I think it's a haunting movie, not a horror movie.
Nathan, what the fuck does that mean? You tried to distinguish
Period.
Scream as not being a horror movie and being a slasher. A horror movie is just any movie that is like with the intent to scare you.
Well, fair enough.
Whether or not it succeeds in that. but I don't think that's a slight. Nearly no horror movies genuinely scare me, but I don't think that doesn't make them horror movies. Bitch.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
mean,
think
I
we
can
still
see
have
where
to
you're
make that
coming
an
with
episode
that.
so far. What
Like
actually
horror
constitutes
horror, yeah.
Because it's that, I think Dead Meat said it, Chelsea.
You can't go a fucking minute without bringing up those two.
I literally haven't mentioned them in fucking ages.
You mentioned it last week.
Can't. So they're a massive part of the horror community. So you make the same jokes
Why
every
don't
week.
you just go over there and suck his dick? Love you, James.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
No,
No, it would have to be. No, it would have to be. I would have to find a way for Chelsea to top me. I love her so much. No, for real, I love her so much. But she was saying her definition with horror is kind of the, like American court system definition, where they were trying to figure out what porn was, where it was like, I don't know how to define it, but I know it when I see it. You know, like Goosebumps to me is very definitely horror, but I don't find that scary.
Yeah, okay, alright.
You know, Courage the Cowardly Dog is definitely a horror show for kids, but it's not scary, I don't think. Like, I don't find it scary, but when I was a kid, it was scary. Okay? Get out of my house. Whatever.
So,
this is very definitely a horror movie, and I don't think that that's very widely disputed.
I suppose.
You hear me?
Do you hear me, butterfly? Miles to go before you think it's a
Honestly.
horror.
Whatever. So what are we doing next week?
Next week, I have been dying.
Can't wait.
Dying.
Hurry up.
To talk about a subject like this for a very long time on the podcast. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories.
Oh, we got a slab.
Yeah, we got a slab episode, bitch.
Is that your choice?
No, it was yours.
No, it wasn't.
Oh no, last month was yours. So yeah, it is mine this time. Yeah, because next month
What
is
was
Pride
last
month.
month?
It was last month. I can't remember.
Happy Pride Month. Oh, what the fuck was last month, actually?
Hey, gay. I'm gonna start every single Pride episode with
Hi,
that.
gay.
Hey, gay. And if
We're
you
gonna
do
have a
butt
special-
stuff.
You get 4. Yeah. What the fuck was our last slab? I think our last
serial
slab...
killers or something, no?
Maybe.
Maybe?
I feel like it might have been demonology.
No, because that was it can't have been demonology. We also agreed on conspiracy theories.
No,
we had
it
this
was-
conversation.
It was serial killers.
Yeah, fuck you, little bitch.
So you get to choose 2 in a row?
Serial killers was a mutually agreed thing because we were doing serial killer month. So fuck off, bitch, little bitch you.
No, I chose serial killers, but
Yeah, well then, so this is my month. Why are we even talking about this? We're doing
this
conspiracy
month and
theories.
next month are both your choices.
Next month is the Happy Pride.
Happy Pride Month. At the butter shop.
At the butter shop.
Buy candles for gay stuff.
And if you do butt stuff, you'll
You
get
get
extra 10%. Yeah.
Get 2 pints of check butter. I fucking love him.
Happy Pride, man.
Happy Pride Month. That always gets me.
Okay, so it just kept getting more wigs on top of wigorama,
so
girl.
good.
The wigorama of it all.
Why did they do that to her?
They did her dirty.
She has hair. She has blonde hair. Why did they decide to put her in a hard front?
Focus.
No.
Focus. We're still recording.
If you ever touch me again, I will break that off. Now hurry up. Hurry up and get up.
So, happy Pride. Right, next month, this month for the slab is returning, y'all.
Uh-huh.
It's returning. Anticipation.
We're doing the last voyage of the Demeter in August.
Yeah, well, I don't care what you say. We're gonna do conspiracy theories next week, bitch.
So we're going to pick like 2 each and kind of one
We're
or
gonna
2
do a
each.
thing.
Yeah, and
We're gonna
then
do it.
And we're gonna my favorite murder style. Just give each other a conspiracy.
A little bit of a dissection.
Yeah.
A little bit of a disembowelment of it.
And just kind of Yeah, I think that'll be fun. It'll kind of just be the story hour.
We're steering the fuck away from like
no political
jargon.
We're talking about like the Jersey Devil or like Bigfoot or
aliens, all that shit.
Area 51.
Area 51, exactly.
Like
we want to. We're staying away from the political because we don't want to fucking talk about 9/11.
It's boring.
We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to hear about shit like that,
20 years ago.
Stop. We don't want to talk about it specific. If you want to listen to shit like that, you can find hundreds of thousands of conspiracy videos on that on YouTube. Go look at one of them. We're purely just having a bit of crack with some weird, creepy shit for from out in the woods. That's what we want to fucking talk about. We want to keep it light. Want to keep it frothy. Want to keep it cappuccino. That's it.
And a flat wash.
And a flat wash.
Yeah.
Oh, town is fabulous. So next week on the slab, we are doing conspiracy theories,
which could possibly turn into its own kind of.
I fucking love it. It's
like
a great
regular
idea.
thing, because that's another thing where we can kind of infinitely touch on it.
We're kind of just talking about American conspiracy theories next
I don't
week.
know.
But like we gonna jump into it. There are some really good fucking conspiracy theories out there.
That's up to you. I never heard American. I never heard just American. I mean,
where else are you thinking of?
Literally every other country in the whole world.
Anyway, the stuff they don't want you to know.
Well, I think about like the Queen is actually a lizard. You know? We're talking about shit like that. But yeah, this could spin off into its own thing. Because we still have the occult thing to continue on too. Yep. Just something we can infinitely pull on.
So yeah.
It is, yeah.
That is that. Next week, conspiracy theories on the Slab. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram for some daily updated content. Whenever it gets uploaded, I suppose.
What do you mean? I posted like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
I sure did.
Great.
That's my part.